It's not always an injury on the court that takes you out. Pain and mobility issues arrive anywhere, at any time. The sports medicine providers at MSU Healthcare are here for your comeback.
Patients should expect that we'll spend time with them and listen to their symptoms, tailor a physical examination to their issues, and customize a treatment plan, whether it's surgical or non-surgical, to help them get back to their active lifestyle and goals that they're interested in.
Sports medicine is a bit of a misnomer. We don't only treat athletes or people involved in organized sport. I think the better title for this would really be movement medicine. If you have something that's limiting your ability to do those tasks, we're here for you to help you and get you back moving again.
Even though you're injured doesn't mean you can't be active, and I like being creative and finding ways to keep you active even though we're trying to rehab you through an injury or complaint.
MSU Healthcare Sports Medicine, official providers of MSU athletes and you.
Women's flat track roller derby is played on a variety of floors and surfaces, including concrete, sport court, and wood. The track layout is 108 feet by 75 feet and is flat and oval. It also includes both outside lane and infield area for officials. You'll notice there are two primary lines across one side of the straightaway on the track. The back line is called the jammer line, and jammers must start each jam behind that line on the track. The other line is called the pivot line, and blockers start the jam anywhere on the track between the jammer line and the pivot line. Once the jam starts, the skaters are allowed to skate forward, past these lines, and start making contact. But they must stay on the track at all times, if they can help it. Roller derby is played in increments called jams. Each jam lasts up to 2 minutes. Both teams field up to 5 skaters at the start of the jam. 4 of these skaters are called blockers, and 1 is called the jammer. The jammer wears a helmet cover with a star on it and scores points for the team. The blockers are playing both offense and defense at the same time, and together they make up what is called the pack. The 2 jammers start each jam behind the pack and must get through all of these skaters for an initial pass before they can begin to score points. When the initial pass is complete, a jammer can score 1 point for every opponent they pass with their hips. The first jammer out of the pack legally is declared lead jammer, which means they can end the jam anytime they want before the 2 minutes are up. Sounds easy, right? Roller derby is a hard-hitting contact sport played on quad roller skates. The object of the game is simple: score a point for every opponent you pass. But getting there is not so simple. At the beginning of the jam, each team fields a jammer. The jammer is the skater with the star on her helmet, and she is the only one allowed to score points for her team. After the whistle, each jammer must make what's called their initial pass through the pack before they can start scoring points. On each subsequent pass, they can score 1 point for each opposing blocker they pass upright and inbounds on the track. If a jammer completely laps an opposing jammer, she can also earn a point for passing her. Each point is scored by the jammer's hips getting past her opponents, not her skates, requiring speed, agility, and even a little creativity.
surrounding suicide. Join us, wear your joy, your support, and your story on your feet. Friday, May 16th, 2 weeks from now, is the annual Sock Out Suicide event. Wear your crazy socks and make a pledge to start those important discussions about suicide prevention and mental health. Oh, and our official review has been followed by an official timeout.
Signaled completed star pass, and then you handed the star back to the original jammer, which is the legal star pass. Dropped it, but it doesn't matter. It was signaled a completed star pass by the OPR. That's all right. And that's what we're going with. I accept the determination. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And it looks like that timeout was to discuss the veracity of a penalty. That emotional damage picked up in that last jam. So this is going to be a power jam for Capital Corruption. And it is Fairy Fire, number 130 on the jam line. Fairy Fire trying to follow Sweet Poison through that pack. Instead, running right into Deacon Bruise. Lucille Brawl also going to assist with Toxic Shock. It's a Toxic 2-wall at the front of the pack, but Fairy Fire comes through to become lead jammer. Vixens stalling until they can get emotional damage out of the penalty box. Fairy Fire coming in for a scoring pass. Toxic Shock and Lucille Brawl again, the last line of defense. Deacon Brew's also going to assist. But Yar and Sweet Poison are lying in wait for emotional damage. Number 0, Motor City Kitty, also going to come in to assist with Can of Whoop Ass. And it's up to Yar. And Yar's got to let Jamage go. That was Jamage's first pass. Fairy Fire still working on that first scoring pass. The Vixens line up at the front of the pack. Fairy Fire takes a hit to the inside, calls it off. Calls it off. Oh, and it looks like the Vixen, emotional damage, managed to steal a point in that jam. That's going to bring their total up to 17. Capital Corruption still in the lead at 39. 22-point game. Wait, 17, 27, 27. Yep. Yeah, I did the math right. 22. We got Scrappy returning to the jam line for the Vixens. This is going to be 69. Rogue One jamming for Capital Corruption. Annie DeSpanko holding down that 3-wall there for the Vixens. Oh, but who should it be but Inzy Moon at the front of the pack? But Rogue One comes through to become lead jammer. Scrappy stuck at the back of the pack. Oh, stuck behind the Mind Killer. Oh, big hit coming out of nowhere from Will Ferrell on Scrappy. Rogue One, meanwhile, coming around for 4 points for Capital Corruption. Oh, Star Pass achievement not unlocked for Scrappy. And that pack is moving fast, fast, fast. Rogue One calls it off. Another shutout from Capital Corruption. Barbie Flay, number 0, returning to the jam line for the Vixens, joined by number 331, Hemlocked, wearing the star for Capital Corruption. And the refs have just called an official timeout. Oh, timeout for a little bit of track repair on the turn. Got to keep that track nice and taped down at all times. Once again, if you're having a good time watching roller derby, make sure you join us at the Mayfair Bar for our after party. Mayfair Bar, Lansing Roller Derby's official after party partner. Hello to all of you watching this bout on the big screen at the Mayfair Bar. We can't wait to party with you after this bout is over. And here we go, Barbie Flay running up against that 3-wall. Ms. Hyde holding things down at the front of the pack with bad aptitude. Barbie Flay forced to recycle to the inside. Baby Apex jump on the inside. Barbie's going to be lead jammer. Hemlock Des going for the star pass to Ms. Hyde. Barbie hitting that pack at full speed. Going for the scoring pass. Last line of defense at the front of the pack. Toxic Shock going. Head over tea kettle there. Hemlock puts the star back on. Barbie still working on that first scoring pass. Sees Hemlock catching up, calls it off. Oh, Barbie did pick up 2 points there for the Vixens, bringing their total up to 19. We got Sweet Poison coming back to jam for Capital Corruption. This is Meowch jamming for the Vixens. Oh, let's see, Meowch. Yes, Meowch. Sweet Poison tangling with emotional damage and Lucille Brawl at the front of the pack. Meowch takes advantage, sneaks through the inside lane, but it is going to be Sweet Poison who will be lead jammer. Motor City Kitty holding things down for the Capital Corruption in the pack. Meowch still on that first scoring pass. Sweet Poison sneaking through for 4 points. We got a star pass from the Vixens. This is going to be number 12, Emotional Damage, taking the star. Sweet Poison coming up against Andy DeSpanko in the pack. And that's another 4 points going on the board for Capital Corruption. Emotional Damage answering with 4 points for the Vixens. Sweet Poison coming in for their scoring pass, hitting Lucille Brawl at full speed. Decides to call it off. Our jam ref's talking things over. Sweet Poison says, hey, I got 2 points. Axel Rolls says, let's call a timeout so we can figure this out. One more shout out for MSU Healthcare Sports Medicine. MSU Healthcare Sports Medicine, the official medical provider and a sponsor of Lansing Roller Derby. And Flame says, yes, Sweet Poison picked up 2 more points in that jam. So it's a 10-point jam there for Capital Corruption, bringing their total up to 53. Vixens trailing at 23. Five seconds has been called. We're going to get this party started again. Got Fairy Fire on the jam line for Capital Corruption. Scrappy wearing the star again for the Vixens. Can of whoop ass putting the stop there on Scrappy in the pack. Inzy Mood trying to break up that Capital Corruption wall there for Scrappy. Scrappy scrapping with Rogue One and Can of whoop ass there at the front of the pack. Rogue One trying to do some recycling there on Scraps. Oh, Fairy Fire called to the penalty box. It's going to be a power jam for the Vixens. Exactly the opportunity the Vixens have been looking for to catch up a bit on that scoreboard. Of course, Capital Corruption aren't going to go down that easy. Focusing on defense now. Thick wall of purple at the front of the pack. And that Scrappy breaks through and become lead jammer. Got some blocker on blocker action there in the pack. Bad Aptitude tangling with Inzy Mood there. Scrappy out of that pack for 4 points. Fairy Fire, meanwhile, returning to the track, trying to get the star pass over to Rogue One. And we got a star pass from Capital Corruption. It is Rogue One taking the star. Scrappy gets one more scoring pass in and calls it off. So 8-point jam there for the Vixens. Capital Corruption held scoreless. We got number 12, Emotional Jamage, returning to the jam line for the Vixens. Number 333, Hemlocked. It will be jamming for Capital Corruption. Hemlocked running right into Barbie Flay and Toxic Shock there in the pack. Emotional Jamage taking a hit from Ms. Hyde there in the pack. Who the hell is number 22? And Emotional Jamage will be lead jammer. Ooh, big hit there from Toxic Shock. Little retaliatory hit there from Yar. Hemlock looking to get a star pass. Toxic Shock going to the penalty box for that hit. And Emotional Jamage coming in for 4 points. Hemlock still on that initial pass. Emotional Jamage coming in for another scoring pass. Barbie Flay, meanwhile, doing some nice recycling there on Hemlocked. Emotional Jamage coming up. Oh, and Yar forcing a track cut there on Emotional Jamage. It's going to be a power jam for Capital Corruption. Things are heating up out there on turn 3. Ms. Hyde tangling with Toxic Shock there at the front of the pack. Big hit there on Hemlock there. Hemlock still holding the star in her hand, trying to get the pass there to her pivot. Nice recycling from Lucille Brawl of the Vixens there. Barbie Flay and Lucille Brawl doing their best to put the stop on Hemlock at the back of the pack there. Oh, and we have a successful star pass to number 30, Voodoo Dolly. Emotional Jamage, meanwhile, picking up another 4 points there for the Vixens. Incredible 11-point jam there for the Vixens. That's going to close up the gap a bit. That's going to bring the Vixens total up to 42. Capital Corruption 53. Just an 11-point game. We got the Mind Killer wearing the star for the first time this evening for the Corruption. Meowch is out there jamming for the Vixens. Meowch hitching a ride on Andy DeSpanko is going to become lead jammer. Sweet Poison and Motor City Kitty, that formidable mother-daughter duo, trying to break a hole in the pack there for Mind Killer. Meanwhile, Meowth comes up against that Motor City Kitty and says, you know, I think I'm just going to call it. I'm good. 2-point jam there for the Vixens. Capital Corruption held scoreless, so Vixens catching up. 9-point game we have with just 8.5 minutes left to go in this first half. Fairy Fire returning to the jam line for the Capital Corruption. Scrappy wearing the star for the Vixens. Bad Aptitude playing some nice defense there on Scrappy in the pack. Ms. Hyde also going to assist here. Fairy Fire coming up against Barbie Flay and Toxic Shock there in the pack. Social Smacktivist also lying in wait at the head of the pack. Toxic Shock, Barbie Flay, and Inzy Moon are everywhere all at once on Fairy Fire. Oh, but here comes Ms. Hyde like a wrecking ball, and Scrappy is set free to become lead jammer. Beautiful offensive mood there by Ms. Hyde. Scrappy coming in for the first scoring pass. And we got a star pass from the Capital Corruption is number 69, Rogue One, now taking the star. Scrappy through the pack, calls it off, taking some direction from Coach Strega there. Oh, Rogue One did steal a point there in that jam. Vixens putting 4 on the board. Vixens are catching right up. We now have only a 6-point game. We could see a lead change before the half here. We just have just under 7 minutes left to go before halftime. Number 12, Emotional Jamage, is back on the jam line for the Vixens, joined by number 82, Sweet Poison, jamming for Capital Corruption. And Sweet Poison gets through that last line of defense. Deacon Bruce says, what was that? And Capital Corruption is our lead jammer. Our jammers are going at breakneck speed. Flame and Ringmaster can barely keep up, but look at that pack flying by. We are moving fast, fast, fast out there. Call off by Sweet Poison. Double goose egg on that jam. More time to line up for the next one is number 0, Barbie Flay on the jam line for the Vixens. Number 333. Hemlock. Oh, number 331, my bad. Hemlock wearing the star for Capital Corruption. We got 3-on-4 pack. Fairy Fire hanging out in the penalty box. A Mind Killer keeping that pack moving, and Hemlock is going to be lead jammer. Oh, Toxic Shock opening up that inside lane for Barbie. Beautiful offensive maneuver there. Hemlock midway through the pack for that scoring pass. Gets past number 15, Ghost Particle, and calls it off. That's 2 points in that jam for Capital Corruption and nothing for the Vixens. But still, we got only a 9-point game here. 5 minutes left to go before the halftime. We got Rogue One, number 69, coming back to jam for Capital Corruption. This is number 39, Meowch, jamming for the Vixens. Nice blocking there from Lucille Brawl in the back of that pack. Rogue One comes up against Deacon Bruce. And the jam is called off. We do. up. It's always nice to see a skater leaving the track under their own power after falling down like that. Big shout out to our medics. Thank you so much for being here, for helping take care of our skaters. We really appreciate it. We couldn't do this without you. And the long whistle means we're getting back into action here. And 5 seconds has been called. It is Fairy Fire back on the jam line for the Capital Corruption. Joined by Scrappy once again jamming for the Vixens. Oh, and Fairy Fire sneaks through the inside lane, becoming lead jammer. Nice recycling for Motor City Kitty there on Scrappy. Scrappy takes a signal from Coach Strega, takes off her helmet cover for the star pass. Fairy Fire, meanwhile, coming into that tight three wall there. Inzy Mood and Babs holding it down. Nice hit from Babs there on Fairy Fire. Inzy Mood and Annie DeSpanko also holding things down. And Motor City Kitty coming in as the last line of defense. We got a star pass to Social Smacktivist, number 89 of the Vixens. Fairy Fire called out on a penalty. It's going to be a power jam for the Vixens. Fairy Fire, like Social Smacktivist running into Motor City Kitty in the pack. That's 4 points for the Vixens. Vixens now at 52, just a 5-point game here. This power jam could be just what the Vixens need to leap into the lead. Social Smacktivist on that second scoring pass. Masterful blocking there from Ms. Hyde in the pack. But what is this? Fairy Fire out of that penalty box with a vengeance. Coming up against Inzy Mood and Annie DeSpanko in the pack. And that's 4 points going on the board for Fairy Fire. Social Smacktivist still trying to get that second scoring pass. Big hit from Annie DeSpanko there on Fairy Fire before Fairy can score. Oh, and that's going to be the jam. And looks like the Vixens picked up 3 more points in that jam. That's going to bring their total up to 7. Capital Corruption, 4 points, 60. So Vixen still trailing at 55. Capital Corruption in the lead at 61. But this is only a 6-point game. And we got Rogue One back on the jam line for Capital Corruption. And somebody whose number has rubbed off their arm jamming for the Vixens. Rogue One has to get past Toxic Shock, Lucille Brawl, and Barbie Flay to make any progress in this jam. That is number 39, Meowch, wearing the star for the Vixens. Masterful blocking there from Will Farrell of Capital Corruption. Bad Aptitude also going to assist there. But would you look at that 3-wall at the front of the pack, make that a 4-wall. The Vixens are just having so much fun blocking Rogue One. They got to get everybody in on the action. But look at the way Bad Aptitude is holding Meowch back. Bad Aptitude and Will Farrell there. It's pretty amazing. And finally, the play is called on the Vixens, and Rogue One is going to be lead jammer. Meowch hears this, tries to get the star pass. Canada Whoop-Ass blocks that star pass. Rogue One in the pack. Oh, Barbie Flay called out on, I believe that was a back block. Rogue One on the first scoring pass. Taking a big hit there from Toxic Shock there in the pack. Out of play called on Yard there. Yard picking up a penalty on trying to block Meowch out of bounds. That's a big no-no. Meowch does not get the star pass. Her pivot is sitting in the penalty box, but this is, actually I'm not sure. Rogue One taking a hit to the inside there. Toxic Shock and Lucille Brawl teaming up to do some recycling. Nice bridging there from number 15 ghost particle of the Vixens. Some incredible defense being practiced in that jam. Oh, and Ringmaster says the Vixens did score 3 points in that jam. So did the Capital Corruption. 3-3 jam. And this is the half. Go get yourself something to drink, something to...
It's not always an injury on the court that takes you out. Pain and mobility issues arrive anywhere, at any time. The sports medicine providers at MSU Healthcare are here for your comeback.
Patients should expect that we'll spend time with them and listen to their symptoms, tailor a physical examination to their issues, and customize a treatment plan, whether it's surgical or non-surgical, to help them get back to their active lifestyle and goals that they're interested in.
Sports medicine is a bit of a misnomer. We don't only treat athletes or people involved in organized sport. I think the better title for this would really be movement medicine. If you have something that's limiting your ability to do those tasks, we're here for you to help you and get you back moving again.
Even though you're injured doesn't mean you can't be active. And I like being creative and finding ways to keep you active even though we're trying to rehab you through an injury or complaint.
MSU Healthcare Sports Medicine, official providers of MSU athletes and you.
All right, there's the whistle. And halftime's over. We're back into action here. Going into this second half, Capital Corruption wearing purple is in the lead at 64 points. Vixens wearing green trailing at 58. We got Fairy Fire back on the jam line for Capital Corruption. Emotional Damage wearing the star for the Vixens. Oh, Emotional Damage takes a hit to the outside from the Mind Killer. Fresh out of the penalty box, Yar teams up with the rest of the Capital Corruption to put the halt there on Emotional Damage. Deacon Bruises and Lucille Brawl, social activists, meanwhile, making things very difficult for Fairy Fire there in the back of the pack. But Emotional Damage breaks through, becoming lead jammer. Fairy Fire looking to get a star pass over to Yar. And Yar has the star. We have a star pass from Capital Corruption. Emotional Jamage taking a hit from Ms. Hyde. Mid-pack decides to call it off. So 3-point jam there for the Vixens. Nothing for Capital Corruption. Vixens catching right up. We got a 3-point game. We could see a lead change going into this jam. It is number 39, Meouch, on the jam line for the Vixens. Joined by number 82, Sweet Poison, jamming for Capital Corruption. Barbie Flay holding down that Vixens wall there for waiting to catch Sweet Poison. Oh, big hit there from Barbie Flay. Sweet Poison bust on through, becoming lead jammer. Meouch held to the back of that pack. We got a star pass to Barbie Flay, number 0 of the Vixens. Sweet Poison coming in for the star pass. A little bit too fast there for Toxic Shock. 4 points going on the board for Capital Corruption. And Sweet Poison calls it off, but Barbie Flay did steal 1 point there. So that's going to put the Vixens at 62, Capital Corruption 68. This is Hemlock, number 331, returning to the jam line for Capital Corruption. Scrappy scratches her rib cage for good luck before this jam. Rogue One says, oh wait, you don't have a pivot, allow me to assist. And the rib scratch did its magic. Scrappy will be lead jammer. Oh, nice recycling there from Lucille Brawl. Oh, Lucille Brawl gets an out-of-play penalty there for that block. Hemlock returning to the track. Oh, Scrappy is out of the pack for 4 points. Hemlock still on that initial pass. So we got a 2-point game here. Vixens trailing by 2 points. This could be the jam we see a lead change. And Scrappy calls it off mid-pack. We'll have to see what Flame has to say about the points. As 2 points. Oh, but Hemlock answered with 3 there for Capital Corruption. So 6-point jam there for the Vixens, bringing their total up to 68. Capital Corruption still in the lead at 71. So now we have a 3-point game. Number 0, Barbie Flay, is on the jam line for the Vixens. Joined by number 130, Fairy Fire, for Capital Corruption. Oh, did you see that? Barbie Flay blasts through that pack on the inside lane, picking up lead jammer. Barbie Flay isn't out of the pack yet already. No, Fairy Fire still in the pack. Barbie Flay coming in for that first scoring pass. Barbie Flay trapped behind a wall of Capital Corruption there. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4 points for the Vixens. And just like that, the Vixens have taken the lead by just 1 point. We got a star pass to Sweet Poison from the Capital Corruption. Oh, big hit there from Toxic Shock there on Sweet Poison. Social Smacktivist, Toxic Shock headed to the penalty box for that block. And that was Sweet Poison's first pass. Meanwhile, Barbie coming around for another 4 points, 8-point jam for the Vixens. And the Vixens now have a 5-point lead over Capital Corruption. The Mind Killer coming back to jam for Capital Corruption. Going to be joined by number 39, Meouch, jamming for the Vixens. And Capital Corruption does have a slight advantage this jam. 2-on-4 pack. We could see Capital Corruption retake the lead in this jam. A Mind Killer scooting up past Emotional Jamage. Inzi moved the last line of defense there. Inzi's got to let her go, and the Mind Killer will be lead jammer. Emotional Jamage slide into the back of that pack there, ready to take the star from Meowch. Yar and Motor City Kitty trying to block that star pass, but Social Activist coming out of that penalty box looking to change things up. Mind Killer, meanwhile, coming around for 4. We've got a 1-point game now, sports fans. Capital Corruption trailing the Vixens by just 1 point. Mind Killer coming in for another scoring pass here. Meowch out of that pack on her initial. And the Mind Killer trapped mid-pack by those Vixens. Toxic Shock and Inzy Mood holding things down out there. Big hit there from Inzy Mood. Mind Killer goes tumbling to the center. Toxic Shock getting sent to the penalty box again. Mind Killer says enough of this nonsense and calls it off. The Vixens did pick up 4 points in that jam. And the Capital Corruption will be back in the lead at 79. Vixens trailing at 77. Hemlock, number 331, back on the jam line for Capital Corruption. It is Scrappy, number 93, wearing the star for the Vixens. Hemlock getting held back there by Deacon Bruce and Annie DeSpanko. Scrappy, meanwhile, trying to find a hole in the pack there. Nice recycling from Can of Whoop Ass and Ms. Hyde. Hemlock will be lead jammer. Scrappy's going to try to get the star pass over to her pivot. Hemlock's got to get past Toxic Shock. Hemlock coming in for another scoring pass. Oh, Scrappy didn't quite get the star pass, but at least she's out of the pack. Hemlock picking up 4 points there for Capital Corruption. Hemlock calls it off. Shutout there for another shutout on the Vixens. Berry Fire is returning to the jam line for Capital Corruption. Barbie Flay coming back, wearing the star for the Vixens. Sweet Poison trying to break up that wall of Vixens there for her jammer. Barbie Flay just a little quicker. Nice blocking there from Will Farrell of Capital Corruption. And Fairy Fire will be lead jammer. Nice blocking there from Rogue One on Barbie in the pack. But eventually they have to let Barbie go. Fairy Fire coming in for that first scoring pass of the jam. Taking a cue from bench coach and teammates. Fairy Fire calls it off, picking up 4 points there for Capital Corruption. That's going to increase their lead to 10 points, 87. Vixens trailing at 77. Sweet Poison, number 82, reclaiming the star there for Capital Corruption. This is number 12, Emotional Jamage, jamming for the Vixens. Everybody looking at the jammers there in the pack. You can tell Toxic Shock wants to go for the hit there, but Sweet Poison's just a little bit too fast. Sweet Poison will be lead jammer. Emotional Jamage called out on the penalty. It's going to be a power jam for Capital Corruption. Vixen slowing things down. Sweet Poison hitting the pack at full speed for the scoring pass. Inzy Mood, Toxic Shock have to let Sweet Poison go. That's 4 more points for Capital Corruption. Sweet Poison calls it off. Power start this next jam for the Capital Corruption. Emotional Jamage still sitting it out in the sin bin. This is Hemlock, number 331, returning to jam for Capital Corruption. Now this next jam is brought to you by Toe Stops. Axl Rolls has called an official time out. You're having a good time watching Derby tonight. Make sure you join us at the Mayfair, our official after-party partner. Those of you watching this bout from the Mayfair, we want to thank you so much for supporting Lansing Roller Derby, and we hope to see you there after this bout is finished. We'll be raising a glass with you for sure. Also, another shout out for MSU Healthcare Sports Medicine, the official medical provider and a sponsor of Lansing Roller Derby. Hemlock, the only jammer on the track. It is a power jam for Capital Corruption. Deacon, Bruce, and Lucille Brawl doing their best to keep Hemlock trapped. Yar trying to break up that wall, playing a little offense there for Hemlock. Vixen's doing a nice job stalling things down long enough to get emotional jammage out of the penalty box. Barbie Flay and Lucille Brawl, the last line of defense there, keeping Hemlock locked up tight in the pack. Nice recycling from Yar and Ms. Hyde there of Capital Corruption on emotional jammage. And that is quite the three wall the Vixens have constructed there around Hemlock. Oh, Lucille Brawl called out on a penalty. I think that was a track cut. This could be the break Hemlock needed to get out of the pack, but ooh, Deacon Brew's going to do some recycling there. And emotional jammage is out of the pack, but she will not be lead jammer. Lead still open. Hemlock still trapped in the pack. Hemlock looking to get a star pass there over to her pivot, Ms. Hyde. Emotional jammage picking up 4 points there. Lead still open. Got 25 seconds left to go in this jam. No lead jammer called. And Hemlock breaks free at last. Reclaims the star. Deacon Brew's hot on her heels. Oh, Deacon knows just where that 10-foot line is, has to let Hemlock go. Emotional Jam is trying to pick up a few more points before that whistle blows. Oh, but Yar's going to put a stop to that. That's going to be the jam. Hemlock breaking out of that pack just as the whistle blows. 2 points going on the board. 2 more points going on the board for the Vixens. Hemlock picking up all 4 points. And Axel Rolls has called an official timeout. One more shout out for Healthcare Sports Medicine, official medical provider and sponsor of Lansing Roller Derby. So Capital Corruption has increased their lead to 12 points, leading at 95. Vixens trailing at 83. 17 and a half minutes left to go. We got Meowch on the jam line for the Vixens. Rogue One wearing the star for Capital Corruption. It's a 4-on-4 pack. Annie DeSpanko holding things down for the Vixens out there. Babs also going to come in to assist. And Meowch, big hit there from Will Farrell. Will Farrell living up to the name. Meowch, meanwhile, forced to the back of the pack by Annie DeSpanko. Oh, Meowch takes a tumble there on the inside lane. And we have a lead jammer. It is Rogue One. Meowch still stuck in the pack behind all those Capital Corruption skaters. Oh, Meowch is out. Rogue One coming in for the scoring cast. Bad aptitude playing offense there. Trying to break up that wall there for Rogue One. Meowch, meanwhile, on her first scoring pass, coming up against Will Farrell and everyone else in the pack. Oh, Lucille Brawl, the last line of defense. Rogue One shakes it off, coming around for 4 points. Meowch taking a hit there from Will Farrell in the pack. Number 101, Gadget also going to assist there. Rogue One coming in for a second scoring pass. Annie Despanko, Babs, and Lucille Brawl trying to put a stop to that nonsense. And the penalties are coming fast and furious. Annie Despanko called out on a multiplayer. And you get a penalty, and you get a penalty, and you get a penalty, and Rogue One, you get 4 points. That's going to be the jam. And the Vixens did pick up 3 points in that jam. That's going to bring them up to 86. Capital Corruption now officially over the century mark at 103. Fairy Fire, number 130, coming back to jam for Capital Corruption. Barry coming up against Toxic Shock in the pack. Social Smacktivist also going to come in to assist. Number 90. This is number 93. Scrappy jamming again for the Vixens. Barry Fire will be lead jammer. Nice blocking there from Sweet Poison. Sweet Poison forcing an attempted star pass there on Scraps. Fairy Fire on that first scoring pass. Beautiful blocking there from Social Smacktivist and Annie Despanko. Number 57, Toxic Shock, holding that wall together like a pro. Scrappy still trying to get the star pass. And the penalties are being called. Nice recycling from Annie Despanko of the Vixens. Sounds like everybody's getting a penalty out there. Scrappy tangle, and it's a blocker versus blocker there as Toxic Shock sends Motor City Kitty tumbling. And we got a power jam for Capital Corruption. Scrappy picking up a penalty there. Vixen's free to concentrate on defense there on Fairy Fire. Motor City Kitty also getting called out on a penalty. Fairy Fire still stuck in the pack. Again, masterful blocking by Annie Despanko and Toxic Shock there. Lucille Brawl also going to come in for an assist with Social Smacktivist. Oh, Fairy Fire recycled again to the back of the pack, and Scrappy back in the action here. Toxic Shock coming in to have a sit. And that's going to be the jam. And Fairy Fire picked up 4 points there for Capital Corruption. And Axel Rolls has called another official timeout. One more shout out for MSU Healthcare Sports Medicine, official medical provider and sponsor of Lansing Roller Derby. Timeout's over. We got Barbie Flay and Hemlocked on the jam line. 3-on-3 pack. 12.5 minutes left to go in the bout. Hemlock going for the outside lane, and the strategy pays off. Hemlock will be lead jammer. Barbie Flay running into Can of Whoop-Ass and Black-Eyed Susie in the pack. Oh, that was quick. And Hemlock, meanwhile, on the scoring pass, taking a hit from Anti-Mood and Social Smacktivist there. Barbie Flay takes advantage of the chaos, skates through clean. Hemlock calls it off. Hemlock picking up 4 points there for Capital Corruption. And Barbie stealing 2 points there for the Vixens. That's going to increase Capital Corruption's lead to 23 points. So still anyone's game. We do have 11.5 minutes left to go. Ready, Set, Riot jamming for the first time this evening for the Vixens. This is Rogue One, number 69, jamming for Capital Corruption. Rogue One taking a nice hit there from number 15, Ghost Particle. And Rogue One will be lead jammer. Babs the Bruiser coming in to have a seat in the old sin bin. It's a 3-on-4 pack out there. Rogue One coming in for that first scoring pass. Oh, and it's going to be... Oh, and Rogue One called out on a back block. It's a power jam for the Vixens. Oh, huge hit from Sweet Poison there. Oh, Sweet Poison takes herself out there. And the pack is at a near standstill on the straightaway. Ready, Set, Riot still working on that initial pass. Abs the Bruiser coming in to help. Oh, and what do we have here? Ready, Set, Riot called out on a track cut. We got a little jammer pinball going on. Rogue One is out, and Ready, Set, Riot will serve the exact same amount of time as did Rogue One in the penalty box. So now we have a power jam for Capital Corruption. And sneaking by on a hair, Rogue One scoring 4 points for Capital Corruption. Rogue One getting ready to do it again, taking a spin off of Babs the Bruiser there, middle of the pack, takes a seat. And that's going to be the jam power start for Capital Corruption going into this jam. Fairy Fire, number 130, coming back to the jam line for Capital Corruption. Ready, Set, Riot still in the penalty box. And the pack is off. Yar doing her best to play offense there, keeping those pesky Vixens away from her jammer. And with big help from Yar, Fairy Fire is going to be lead jammer. Ready, Set, Riot is back in the action here, taking a hit to the outside. Courtesy of Voodoo Dolly. Fairy Fire on that first scoring pass. The pack is piled up on turn 3 here. Barbie Flay, last line of defense there. Oh, and Fairy Fire takes out Barbie, coming around for 4 points. Ready, Set, Riot trying to pass the star over to Emotional Jamage in the pack. Fairy Fire lining up for another scoring pass, has to tangle with Barbie yet again. Barbie knows exactly how far back she can lead Fairy Fire and not get a penalty. And Fairy Fire stuck behind that 3-wall there of Vixens in the back of the pack. Annie Despanko doing a nice job holding things together for the Vixens. Ready, Set, Riot not doing much better with Capital Corruption there at the front of the pack. And it's Pivot versus Pivot, Emotional Damage versus Yar at the front of the pack. We got a star pass to Emotional Damage. Yar trying to keep her from putting the star on her helmet. Fairy Fire brought to almost a complete stop there by the Vixens. Finally, the refs call time. And Vixens held scoreless that jam. Fairy Fire did pick up 4 more points there for Capital Corruption. 8-point jam there for Fairy Fire. Bringing the Capital Corruptions total up to 125. Vixens trailing at 88. So now we have a 37-point game. Hemlock is back on the jam line for Capital Corruption. And this is Meowch jamming for the Vixens. Meowch almost all the way through that pack. She's got to get past the Mind Killer. And Motor City Kitty and Meowch will be lead jammer. Hemlock going for the star pass. Deacon Bruce trying to block that star pass. Babs also going to come in to assist along with number 15, Ghost Particle. Oh, no, Hemlock didn't quite get the star pass there. Meowch coming in for that first scoring pass. Motor City Kitty forcing the call off there. Meowch picked up 1 point there for the Vixens. Capital Corruption held scoreless. We got just under 6 minutes left to go in this bout, and it is Rogue One coming back to jam for Capital Corruption. This is number 93, Scrappy, jamming for the Vixens. Yar Mishad can't hold Scrappy back for long. The last line of defense falls. And Scrappy will be lead jammer. Rogue One stuck behind Toxic Shock and Socialism Activist in the pack there. Scrappy, meanwhile, coming in for that first scoring pass. Oh, nice hit from Sweet Poison on the turn. Rogue One also coming in for that first scoring pass. Rogue One forcing a call off there, but Scrappy did pick up 2 points there for the Vixens. And Corruption held scoreless. Vixens trailing up to that century mark, now at 91 points. Capital Corruption 125. We got Barbie Flay number 0 back on the jam line for the Vixens. The Mind Killer number 95 wearing the star for Capital Corruption. Barbie coming up against Voodoo Dolly. Can of whoop ass there in the pack. Mind Killer coming up against Enzy Mood, Deacon Bruise, Lucille Brawl holding things down. Nice bridging from number 13, Babs the Bruiser. And Voodoo on the shoulder there into Barbie. 4-wall brought by straightaway. And Deacon Bruise and Enzy Mood have Mind Killer squeezed tight, tight, tight in there. Number 101, Gadget Goes Berserk, also going to come in to assist here. Can of whoop ass getting low to put the stop on Barbie. Oh, nice hit to the outside from Voodoo Dolly. But Voodoo takes herself out there. Barbie takes advantage. Barbie Flay will be lead jammer. Oh, the Mind Killer breaks past Lucille Brawl on her first scoring, on her first pass. And Voodoo Dolly attempts to put the halt on Barbie yet again. Little assist from Babs there. Barbie breaks through for 4, calls it off. Capital Corruption again held scoreless that jam. Vixens now at 95. And Axel Rolls has called an official timeout. We got a 30-point game and just under 3 minutes left to go in this bout. One more shout out for the Mayfair Bar. If you all are having a good time watching roller derby tonight, please join us after this bout at the Mayfair Bar. Your chance to raise a glass, party with some derby skaters. If you're already watching this bout at the Mayfair Bar, congratulations, getting a head start on the drinking tonight. We can't wait to see you and talk about the game with you at the Mayfair. Emotional jammage on the jam line for the Vixens. Number 130, that is Fairy Fire, jamming for Capital Corruption. 3-on-4 pack. Capital Corruption's pivot stranded in the penalty box for right now. Fairy Fire trying to break through that tough Vixens wall. Emotional jammage coming up against Sweet Poison and Ms. Hyde in the pack. Toxic Shock, the last line of defense, up there with number 15, Ghost Particle. And Fairy Fire takes another run at things with the Vixens. But Emotional Jammage tightly held back there by number 23, Black Eyed Susie. And Miss Hyde, Voodoo Dolly also assisting. Sweet Poison holding things down for the Corruption. And Toxic Shock has to let Fairy Fire go. Fairy Fire will be your lead jammer. Emotional Jammage passes the star to number 88, Ready, Set, Riot. Fairy Fire hits the pack at full speed, calls it off. And Fairy Fire picked up 1 point there for Capital Corruption. Vixens held scoreless. It's going to bring the Corruption up to 126. Vixens trailing at 95. 31-point game. We got number 22, Yarmageddon, on the jam line for Capital Corruption. This is Meowch, number 39, returning to jam for the Vixens. Rogue One sends Meowch tumbling to the ground. Rogue One lining up to do it again. Motor City Kitty holding that line steady. And we have a lead jammer. It is Yarmageddon. Motor City Kitty doing some recycling there on Meowch. Meowch wants to get the star pass over to number 89, Socialism Activist. That's her pivot. Sweet Poison coming out of that penalty box, ready to do some damage here. Sweet Poison holding that inside lane wide open. Yar coming around for 4 points. Bad attitude signals Yar to just keep right on trucking. Meowch still trapped in the pack on that initial pass. Did we get a star pass from the Vixens? I'm actually not sure. Can't see it that well from here. Yar coming in for another scoring pass. Yar gets past Deacon Brews for another 4 points. It's an 8-point jam so far for the Capital Corruption. Vixens keeping that pack still on the straightaway. We got a star pass to Socialism Activist just as Yar calls it off, picking up 1 more point. So 9-point jam there from Yarmageddon. And time flies when you're having fun, Derby fans. That's gonna be the game. Our unofficial final score, Capital Corruption taking the win at 135. Vixens trailing at 95. Great job, both teams. And of course, this is an intra-league bout. This is Lansing versus Lansing here. I'm going to echo the Capital Corruption there and say also big